and welcome to the Glacially Musical Podcast. It is beer, metal, and swearing. Of course, I am Nick Cameron of Glacially Musical, joined by my good friend, a man who's a little slow sometimes, always worth the money, Keefy Quaaludes. How we doing today, buddy?
What's up?
Oh, I see we don't have our thing on, so okay. So I'm gonna try to refrain from picking my nose and twitching. I know sometimes I twitch like a meth addict. Okay, fail. Sorry. Thank you for joining us this week for the last episode of the Cannibal Corpse series. Also want to point out I am still futzing with my new setup. You may notice the Falstaff beer clock where you can't read anything. It just looks like an orb. But it's Falstaff beer, which is awesome. Was gonna put it here, but then you couldn't read it, so I moved it there where you can read it, but you can't read it. Working with the light next to me, trying to be good. I'm trying to make this better. That looks spectacular. I'll just raise the light as the sun goes down. Anyway, Cannibal Corpse, Vile, episode 5. Here's how we do this. We do a greeting, a beer check, a vinyl check, news check, shirt check. Wait, I don't know. It's all in there. It's check news. You know what we're doing. Then we get to the meat of the episode, which meat of the episode is probably the right turn of phrase for Cannibal Corpse. For me this week, I'm having a moment, so I'm dropping an Elysian Fields.
I kind of want to sing the Megadeth song Elysian Fields from Euthanasia.
Great song.
Isn't
And
it?
like I said, having a day, so I'm just gonna go ahead and just pop another one in there.
Oh, fuck.
What you got, buddy?
Well,
I'm gonna throw my magnetic bottle cap opener to the fuck. I missed to the refrigerator. The beer fridge is actually right there.
Oh, that's cool. I wasn't going to drink a beer because I have been under the weather. I'm finally feeling better. But I want to kind of finish this beer. I'm leaving New York tomorrow. So I want to, well, I'm always not going to drink this beer. So I got another Lagunitas IPA that I had last week, and I'm going to drink it out of this Star Trek Next Generation Borg mug. I don't know if you can see me for some reason. I don't see me. Hold on.
I see you. You're fine.
Yeah, but I think it's not like working. Nope, that's not going to work either. Hold on. It's not working. All right. This is Resistance is Futile.
Resistance is brutal.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Hoppy. We've had one of these already, so I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to give it a shot.
I really feel like you're just trying to get me back on the pickle jar. So I'm gonna have to go super epic. Cheers, my friend.
I've been going very absurd every week with these, right? I didn't quite have the guts to do the. I'm gonna be honest. Some of these hotels I've been in have been a little suspect, and I didn't quite have the guts to drink a beer out of my suggestion to you on vacation, which was drink it out of the ice bucket. But I was like, I don't know who's dipped their balls in this ice bucket.
Oh, okay, Louis. He's the guy that comes in and he says his catchphrase over and over again. I want to dip my balls in it. Who's got a plate of something? Anyway, I'm yelling. I don't need to be yelling. I'm going to turn this a little bit. Thank you oh, wait, hang on. Vinyl check. So I am going to rep the great state of Missouri, some delightful Dirty Blues, a band that I heard of on their first record, Greetings from Whelp City. Their second was Chillicothe Fireball. Their third was Self-Titled. And their fourth is Back in Business Again. Of course, I am talking about Columbia, Missouri's own Hoot and Hollers. They are a dirty blues band that would give Roger the Woodies because they have a saxophone. So fortunately, I did get a plain black. I got this one used at Planet Score Record a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't going to buy it. I was going to wait till I saw them at the Duck Room in November, opening for Reverend Peyton's Big Damn Band. and get the yellow one. But I mean, I couldn't pass up $15. Sorry, Hooties, I'll buy a shirt. Cheers. You see this?
Oh my gosh, that's quite a head. We'll describe the finger fudge pour next week on the Chaser, but I do want to say, in a recent text message with a friend of mine who is a beer expert, he validated the finger fudge pour that a German beer drinking, beer loving friend of his was like, oh yeah, you pour the beer in and the gas does not go in your belly. So we got validated on the finger fudge.
I can tell you, it makes me feel better, so that's why I'm sticking with it.
Makes the podcast better because you're just not bah, 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 every 2 seconds.
Correct.
And then I usually get like bloat. I'm already round, and I get like very like gas. I'd rather not have gas pain than belchy gas. So like, I don't know. I'm just getting old, pal. Is that your one for today, or do you have two?
I'm just gonna go one for today. It's gonna be better next week. It's gonna be special.
All right. I have a one for it today. This is really cool. This is a band you do not like, but I love. This is the 20th anniversary edition of the self-titled Deftones album.
Well, I like Deftones.
Beautiful. I thought you hate Deftones.
No, I don't love, but I like.
Okay. We talked about doing a series, and you were like, no. There was a couple of years ago, Deftones were the album of the year for Ghost Cult, and I was doing like a podcast with one of our writers, and we got like 10-1, and the number one album of the year for the Ghost Cult is Ohm's Deftones. And he was like, what do you say about that, Gary? And he was like, nothing. I have nothing to say. Amazing.
I have no strong feelings regarding the Deftones at present.
I'm a big fan. So this came with his 20th anniversary edition. Songs on this include Minerva, Hexagram, Bloody Cape, Lucky You, which is a beer they just released. So very cool. There's a lyric sheet and some cool photos from back then. And also paper only, but it came with this gorgeous limited edition cherry red see-through vinyl.
Nice. And
the beautiful blue, the album artwork blue. So blue and red for the album colors. Almost like almost 3D looking glasses, right? Kind of evokes the 3D glasses. And I got this at Bull Moose in Maine. This is one of my Maine purchases for $24.99. I think a very reasonable price for
pun intended. One of your main purchases.
Oh, the main purchase from Maine, actually, if you think about last week's purchases. I think this got a little dinged up in my suitcase, but whatever, it's going to be what it's going to be.
Dings or dings, who cares?
And then the question is, I am carrying a rather heavy suitcase, so the question is, do I take back with me some of these vinyls I bought while I'm out here, or do I save them here and ship them to me later?
Ship them back now.
We'll see. I have work in the morning also before my flight, so that's my vinyl check. Deftones.
Shirt check. Sushi Red Panda.
Love the Red Panda sushi shirt. I am once again, because I'm on vacation with only a few variations of clothes left, I am once again wearing my Mr. Bungle t-shirt. They are on tour right now in the U.S. on the East Coast. If you can catch them, catch them. Hearing nothing but rave reviews. I will see them at Riot Fest this weekend, which we'll talk about in a second.
All right, news check. I'm just going to go out and throw out the one you sent to me this morning because we were talking about buying tickets for this tour next month in St. Louis, October 18th, I believe, when Aerosmith on the Peace Out tour is supposed to be in St. Louis, Missouri at the Enterprise Center. Hopefully, things will be good and we'll be able to get some nice seats. However, Steven Tyler, after 3 or 4 shows, his vocal cords are bleeding. This is a new one. We've all heard about poor vocal cords. This is the first time I have heard bleeding. It's not uncommon. Steven has had polyps removed from his vocal cords. You know, he has that super high range. He has the dog whistle 5th octave like Mariah Carey. It's questionable, 74-year-old Steven Tyler, right? Like, not easy to keep doing what he does. And the band is, like I said, I was wondering if they would ever tour again. This entire tour is a surprise to me. Well, and Joey Kramer's not even there, so it's not invited. The
press statement they put out him. Yeah, like the press. Oh, Joey, as much as he's a beloved member of our, he sued them, right? He sued them so he would be included in the Rock Hall of Fame induction, I think, or the Grammys or something. And then he said, like, the statement from the band was like, even though Joey is a beloved member of Aerosmith still, he's going to stay with his family and not tour. They decided he's not going to tour, not him. His wife died like a year and a half ago. Very sad. But, like, that doesn't mean he can't play anymore. I'm always confused.
And speaking of cancellation news, this is the part of the show where I was expecting to tell you about my triumphant time finally seeing Guns N' Roses. Guns N' Roses was scheduled to play St. Louis on Saturday. Through 3 days ago as we record this, 6 days ago as you listen to this, if you listen on day one, which you are awesome if you do. And unfortunately, Axl got sick the day before.
Do we know it's Axl? I wasn't sure.
I'm assuming. So as far as I know, there is no cancellation of the show this evening. I just moved. Anyway.
Okay.
So as far as I know, there's no cancellation of the show this evening. So gets me kind of concerned. Sorry, I'm moving, trying to get. That's better.
I'm futzing with it. Don't worry about it. I'm trying to get it.
So now we also found out the same day that they had only sold half of the stadium.
Ooh.
So
yeah, but half of like 80,000 is still 40,000.
It wasn't wrong stadium.
Oh, okay.
It was the baseball stadium. Half of 42,000 is 20,000, which is too small for a stadium.
I get it.
I expect supposedly they're going to be. Excuse me, a little burpy, a little gassy today. Unfortunately, my finger fudge did not fudge enough. So theoretically, they're going to be rescheduling the show. However, based on the Guns N' Roses itinerary and the fact that the show is booked at Busch Stadium, means we are looking at November, most likely, which November in St. Louis is not the best time to be scheduling an outdoor show. In fact, October, though, even with climate change, October, I have still... I saw Rob Zombie and Marilyn Manson on the very first Terror Twins or Twins of Evil or whatever it was called tour, and it was snowing. The weather in the Midwest is no joke, kids. So
I don't own a winter coat anymore. I usually am a hoodie and scarf guy when it gets very cold.
If you got a big fat hoodie and a scarf and a toque, you're good. You're fine.
A toque?
Yeah, a stocking cap, a toque.
I thought a fool of a toque. You were doing some Lord of the Rings shit.
No, I don't do Lord of the Rings shit. Fuck those guys.
Oh, man. My news check. I know. So a couple of news checks from the Keefy. I'm going to Riot Fest this weekend. I'm really excited. I was supposed to go last year. I missed out on going. Gonna see. I'm not necessarily married to. I put a schedule together in my calendar. Other than Foo Fighters, not really interested in the Postal Service and Death Cab for Cutie. Sorry. Gonna see a lot of hardcore bands. Gonna see Bungle again. Gonna see Quicksand. Gonna see Gorilla Biscuits. Might see Dresden Dolls. Not sure. There's some clashes that suck at these big festivals. Hoping not to get heat stroke. Chicago's very humid at this time. And my birthday is Sunday, so if anybody sees me, give me a crisp high five. Buy me a drink. Buy me a nachos or something.
Hell, if you see Keefy, give him 2 crisp high fives.
Give me 2 crisp high fives. And maybe I will check out some of the greater Chicago record stores. Maybe I will. I am going to see Danzig.
Great ones downtown.
I know. I am going to see Danzig on Sunday night, the Danzig headline tour, the farewell tour.
Ooh, farewell.
Every tour with him is the farewell tour. The 35th anniversary debut album tour. So, which will be interesting.
They have not repressed those first few Danzig recorurs. I mean,
I think it has to do with Rick Rubin. He's done everything but those first few records. Anywho, I
was in a record store last week and they were playing Danzig 3. So I'm like listening to Dirty Black Summer and I'm looking over and I'm like, you motherfucker, it's on vinyl. How much is this? $300. They also had a copy of Metallica's Ride the Lightning on Megaforce. $250. Did not buy.
Yeah, nah. I guess this other bit of news is I know you don't do music festivals, so I'll save the horror show at Blue Ridge Rock Festival for my show. But let's talk about Ozzy for a second. So Ozzy, the Osbournes have restarted their Osbournes podcast. I believe that is in advance of the Osbournes show coming back for a season. Listen, whatever makes money, it made them rich. Like, you don't roll your eyes.
I know.
I would not want anyone checking out my life. I'm not that interesting, but I wouldn't want anyone checking out my life, watching me scratch my balls and pick up dog crap. But so in the podcast, Ozzy is having another surgery because the vertebrae in his neck are disintegrating or something. And I really don't see how he's coming back to touring ever. He's really in disrepair physically. I wish he would just slow down, chill out, relax, enjoy the money, enjoy his grandchildren, live to see his grandchildren get older. You know, I know he's desperate to play live again somehow, but like if he's having another neck surgery, another spinal surgery, I don't see how he's coming back, man. I'm not wishing him ill. I just don't see how he's going to return to a touring shape. You know?
Completely agree.
It's sad. I had some other things on my mind, but nothing really springs to mind right this second to keep talking about. 3 Inches of Blood. Were you a fan of that band? They have announced a comeback show.
I don't know them.
You don't. Kind of like very Iron Maiden-y, traditional metal, power metal, high vocals. They have booked a show for January 2024 for a show in almost 10 years. So it's like the year of a lot of comebacks. Got a new Shadows Fall single or two coming. God Forbid played some shows last year and this year. Kitty, now 3 Inches of Blood. Like, you're getting some cool band reunions. I don't know if the internet is helping that happen or what. But yeah, that's my news check.
All right, let's take a short break. If I can get on your side.
Sure.
Welcome back. So it's 1996. 1996 is kind of a terrible time for metal. Metallica's Load is coming out, which I would say a good, which sold a third of what the Black Album sold. So a third of the new fans have jumped off the table. And after that one, most of the old fans have jumped off the table because they can't deal with Metallica doing anything new, except for all the other new things they had done up to that point. All those new things were fine, but this one is out. Pantera is touring. The rumors of the breakup are circulating. Modern death metal is dying in 1996. The death metal genre has nearly become grunge 2. Obituary is still touring. This is when they release was it World Demise? The one with Final Thoughts. And that's a squiffy ass record. Carcass has broken up, and Morbid Angel is about to break up. Deicide is walking back into the shadows. Death is slowing down. And who is out there still crushing it? You know, we are now into the election season proper for the 1996 presidential election. 1996 as a year, frankly, is pretty damn boring. It's the first baseball season after the players walked off, and even in St. Louis, they're only pulling 20,000 Cardinals fans a night, which in St. Louis is blasphemous. 35,000 is where the conversation starts at the worst possible game in St. Louis. And baseball is going to suck until steroids get back and get into the game.
Only you.
What? I was there when McGuire hit 62. I was at the stadium. Literally there.
Impressive.
I chose a Cubs game. I had never seen the Cardinals versus the Cubs at that point in 1998. And I jokingly said to my ex, Wouldn't it be funny if that's when he did it? I mean, I got the ticket in June and it was September, so I mean, it was just pure dumb luck. But so what do we have? Cannibal Corpse is exploding, imploding, parting out, whatever you want to call it. The mastermind, the SMF per Twisted Sister of Chris Barnes is now out of the band. The band is now only 60% original. We're parting out. We're changing. That's metal. That's underground metal.
I'm gonna jump in and say I don't know what caused the split. I don't think '96 was such a terrible year for metal. It wasn't the greatest year for death metal, but I don't think it was terrible. I actually think '94 was a worse year for death metal than '96. But
I'll give you.
I'm not gonna go refute you.
No, Carcass breaks up in '96. That makes it the worst.
I mean, all right, then I'm gonna do this. I wasn't gonna do. Here's the death metal albums that came out in '96 that I know of, according to Wikipedia, which we know not to trust. But here we go. Amon Amarth EP, Sorrow Through 9 Worlds.
That's got to be their first, right?
It might be their debut EP. Arch Enemy, Black Earth, which I don't love, but people love.
That's pre-Angela, yes?
Yeah, that's the John album.
Yeah.
Ace Fix, Embrace the Death. Bathory, Blood on Ice. Behemoth, Grom. Borknagar, self-titled. Not quite death metal exactly, but Brutal Truth, Kill Trend Suicide, kind of grindcore death metal. Not death metal, but black metal, Cradle of Filth's fifth record, Empire or Dark Fairy Tales. Cryptopsy, None So Vile. Dark Funeral, Secrets of the Black Arts, black and death metal. Deeds of Flesh, Trading Places. Dimmu Borgir, Stormblast.
I'm going to jump in real quick. A lot of this is black metal.
No, well, Dying Fetus isn't black metal. Purification Through Violence.
Dimmu Borgir is black metal.
Firehouse, not strictly.
Behemoth
they're like
is black metal.
They're like no, Behemoth was black metal back then, but they kind of became a death metal band after this.
Right, back then we're talking about. I mean,
okay, pal. Grave, Hating Life. Immolation, Here and After, decent record.
Yeah, okay.
Iced Earth, melodic death metal you don't love, but the Dark Saga, the Jester Race, sorry. Cataclysm, Temple of Knowledge, solid. Opeth, Morning Rise, black and death metal. Necrophobic, Spawned by Evil, death metal. And probably a few others that are on the sort of precipice of black metal and death metal. But it wasn't a terrible year. I mean, like, there's a good Sepultura that year, Roots, and Tool, Typo Negative, Prong.
I have not heard Roots yet.
Pantera, something's wrong with you.
I know.
Something's deeply wrong with you. We're gonna do Roots.
That's fine. We should do a Sepultura series, not next, but you know.
I want to do Sepultura before and now. That's what I want to do. I want to do old Sepultura and then new Sepultura.
Okay, we can do that as long as we get to Chaos.
Yeah.
Anywho, 1996. It's kind of a weird time.
Let me ask you a question. Do you know why specifically, right? Why Barnes was fired?
No, but I do know, as anybody does who's done cursory research like I did today, he was fired during the recording of the album. Resistance is brutal. Get it?
Stealing my jokes. Go ahead. They recorded like half the record with him and then fired.
Yeah, I mean it was a significant part. It wasn't like they fired him on like week 3, but what happened to Barnes? I don't know. I don't know if we mentioned this earlier in the series, but 6 Feet Official, listen to me like a jackass. 6 Feet Under has been going on for 2 or 3 records at this point.
Right. Which he says he intended to split from that. I was going to leave them and go do my own.
Yeah. Okay. Necro Butcher, you were going to go kill Euronymous.
I'm still mad at that thing, man. Literally 5 minutes after our interview with them, he dropped that one. I was like, God damn it, bro.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm
sure he was.
Yeah, he was not gonna go kill Euronymous. Poser. You're just a poser. Kill him or don't kill him, or kill yourself. Anyway, Mayhem new album out this week, live album. I don't know if you need a live album from Mayhem at this stage, but okay. So they record part of the album with him, fire him, and I don't think they held auditions. I think they just called George and was like, "Do you want to replace Chris?"
That is my understanding. Now,
they were big fans of Monstrosity, which is a good band. I recommend, if you love George and you love George particularly, go back and listen to those early Monstrosity records because they're solid. They're very solid death metal.
Before we move forward, I just want to talk about George a little bit. George Corpsegrinder Fisher is one of the abject sweethearts of death metal. We discussed his 7 bags of stuffies, how on tour he goes and plays crane games because he loves them and donates them to children's hospitals. Wonderful. He also had a role in Metalocalypse.
Well, Nathan Explosion is based on him.
But he had a role. He was a voice actor.
Right.
Yes, Nathan Explosion is based off of Corpsegrinder. And if you look at Nathan Explosion is a slightly aesthetically upgraded version of Corpsegrinder. Nathan has a very attractive face, and Corpsegrinder has a very lovely soul. Kind of like me. And Nathan isn't exactly svelte. He's not muscular. He's got a big fat neck. He's got long stringy hair. His vocal stylings are definitely Corpsegrinder. It's awesome. But he also plays the metal assassin, whose brother was killed by William Murderface's diamond encrusted codpiece, which is my favorite thing to say now ever. So we're talking about legitimately a real one. If there is somebody to come in and take over for Barnes, because quite frankly, excuse me, Jesus, burpee. It's been a while since this has happened. As we have been murder bonering over Chris Barnes's vocals for the past 4 weeks, Chris Barnes came in and crushed it, and I mean that every single possible way. So when that relationship reaches its conclusion, someone probably argued the natural conclusion. When it reaches that conclusion and you have to bring in somebody, I don't know that they could have done a better job than Corpsegrinder.
No, I mean, like, historically,
name.
Right. Replacing their vocalists is impossible. It's only happened a few times where it's worked out. And almost always the band falls off. This is one of those rare cases. I would argue that, like Ozzy and Dio.
Thank you.
That it almost never, and I love Ozzy.
We are not going to count AC/DC in this for one reason. Bond died.
Yeah, still had to replace him.
Doesn't count.
Does count. They got much bigger without him, though, but like, okay.
They got much bigger, but not as good.
That album still would have been that album with Bond.
Oh, well, yeah. But the only other lead singer swaps that worked this well, Dave for Sammy.
COC. No, Dave coming back after Sammy, not Sammy. No, no.
Bruce for Paul.
Yes, and I love Paul.
I love him a lot more after.
He's not better than Bruce, but I love Paul. But we're talking about in the thousands of bands. Pepper for COC. It's happened a lot, and it hasn't always worked out. So. Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question. Like, if they didn't have a personality problem, like Barnes didn't do anything talent-wise, he didn't fall off yet. Correct. He's about to fall off a freaking cliff later in his career. He falls off a cliff. But, like, he didn't deserve to get fired. He didn't do... The Bleeding is great. We're going to rank the albums at the end of this
I'm not going to make the judgment whether or not he deserved it or not because I don't know what happened.
Well, I'm saying, like, in terms of his talent, like, oh, you started to suck, you're fired. No. Or, like, we need a better singer to get to the level we're trying to get to, Bruce. Or Ozzy, you're fired. Dio, here you are. Right. And then the band also, like, got, sobered up enough to make a great record, because they were trash also. Right. So, like, This is a band that was rising.
Yeah.
Gets rid of Barnes. They should have took a dive, and they just kept on trucking. It's unheard of.
Completely.
It's unheard of. And they really, I mean, we can argue about when we grade these records, maybe they don't quite have a 10 yet, but all these records are 8s and 9s, right? And like Vile, which we're about to talk about, is great. Would have been great with Barnes. Would have been great with Barnes.
Oh, completely.
Is great with George. And I'm going to just, like, if you'll allow me, I don't know if you were done. You might not have been.
I can be.
Did they get smarter making this record? Like, it's hard to tell because they clearly didn't change. I mean, they let George as a co-writing credit on 2 songs.
I have a lot of words.
I think they got smarter with this album. Like, better titles, better lyrics, better recorded, better playing. I don't necessarily think this is better than the first couple of records in pure raw death metal greatness, but like, this is just a step up in general. Like, they were about to make another great record here with Barnes and kick them the hell out. Like, it's unheard of. Normally, bands are not trying to fire their guy that's carried them. You can make a case that Barnes is the most talented guy in the band these first 4 records. Arguably the most talented, at least the first 2. Put the genre on his back, set the bar very high for what the genre does.
Let me jump in. I think you nailed it there.
He quit.
Fucking Jesus Christ! What the fuck?
Barnes quit.
Omar,
hey, welcome to the Glacially Omar podcast. How's it going on? Anyway, Barnes quit. Right. They had a record with him, kind of halfway done, dropped it, and started a whole new one. They all had something to prove on this record, and they showed they had something to prove.
Hang on,
and
Keefy,
that's all I got to say. I love that record.
Give Omar your headphones.
Say it again. Say it again.
No.
You heard it.
Hey, Omar, cut this.
Yo.
Omar, cut this. That's our new joke. Omar, cut this. What happened to come in gently and don't scare me?
That was
beautiful.
God. You loved it.
I did not love it.
You loved it. What the freak I did it for him?
Your hand is blocking the camera now.
Oh, okay, where were we? Before Omar didn't come in, because obviously he cut this. Because he was directed. I looked him in the eye and said, Omar, cut this for the first time.
That was beautiful.
Okay, so where were we? Barnes is gone. He definitely was the most talented member of the band for the first at least 2 records, possibly 3rd. The 4th record is the best record of the Barnes era, in my humble opinion, even with the abject cringiness. But when we get to this record, before and again, I know I have harped on this in past episodes in this series, but we are talking about the birth of a subgenre. Not only is it one subgenre, but this album creates. Sorry, I did not pour the gas out well today. I apologize. This subgenre creates 15 other subgenres, and in this run, we've had mellow death, we've had tech death, now we've got brutal death, that sharp. I discussed last week and the previous weeks before that, mushy death metal. The mush is over, and now the Cannibal Corpse sound that you will hear on every record from this one forward, that sharp, that palm mute, that wonderful sound, the full-on blast beats, they are all here. And they also got less cringy, which I think they took the cringe and the horror show, frankly, as far as it could go, to the point where had they gone another step further, I think your average dude, that I'm not going to say in the RC, if you take my meaning, wouldn't be able to get behind, because it would be too much. So they pull back. They go on to more gruesome titles, but just gruesome in general, not violence against a certain gender.
I hear what you're saying and putting down. You're not wrong. I just feel like smarter, just like saying the same stuff on a higher intellectual level, still gnarly, still cringe inducing, brain breaking lyrics, but just a level up.
But not divisively so.
Most of these lyrics are by Webster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the 5 of the 11 tracks are by Webster. The bonus track.
If Roger Waters wrote that many of the songs, I would say Roger Waters wrote the record.
Could not go one episode without mentioning Roger or Pink Floyd. Okay, buddy.
I have a type.
Nick, go to your place. You're like the puppy that won't stop. You won't stop eating the slippers, Nick. It's okay. Pink Floyd is my favorite band. Go ahead.
So Alex Webster wrote the lyrics on this record, and I feel like he realized that they went to the edge with, was it The Bleeding? Yes, The Bleeding. So vile is vile. Don't misunderstand. This is not a softer, kinder, gentler Cannibal Corpse. It is a Cannibal Corpse dealing with more things, like perhaps you're dying and being eaten by rats and raccoons. That's pretty awful. I don't want that.
Pretty terrible. Do we also mention this is the just happens to be the last album with Rob Barrett for 10 years. So Rob,
look, I love this band, and this is one of those bands like Kiss, like Black Sabbath, where they're just parting people in and out all the time. And under the brand, they're great. So I don't know why I said that. Are you ready to go track by track? I'm ready to bust this out.
Let's go track by track. Do you want me to do these are less terrible titles. Are you going to do it this week?
I'm doing it. Let's start off with Devoured by Vermin, which is about the worst way I can think of to be left to die. This track is fucking amazing. I don't know who's doing the vocals on this. Is it Nuke goddamn LaLoosh? Because I know somebody here, what did he do? He announced his presence with authority. Didn't throw
him. He hit the mascot twice. This is maybe the second or third best album opening song in the history of Cannibal Corpse. I'm gonna go that hard. This song is Hammer Smash Face, bro. Come on. This song's great, and it's a Barrett and Webster composition, and it just slays.
Thumper,
notes.
Big thumper. We move on into Mummified and Barbed Wire, and I listened to this record twice today, once in a headphone, once in my car, and listening to this back in my car, I had the same kind of reaction as I did to the previous album, The Bleeding, and it's so much bigger, it's so much fuller, and the sound, the quality, the recording, the production. Again, we have had a band who, like Metallica, has leveled up on every single record. Every record is better than its predecessor. And this song is better than its predecessor.
This continues to be true of we're not continuing these albums, but that actually continues to be true for a minute. I just noticed that Webster not only co-wrote or wrote almost all these songs also on music. The songs that he wrote on here just hit differently when you hear them back now. And
look, it's Webster's record. It's his record.
Yeah, he slays. He just slayed this thing. Riffs, everything.
Correct. And this is some of the best bass playing on a death metal record, because a lot of the guitars aren't the riff. Most of the riffage on this record is the bass.
That's right.
And there's guitar parts where they're working together in and out, but the bass and the drums are the song, which is rare.
True.
Moving on into Perverse Suffering, which is exactly what you think it is. Cheers.
It sure is. What a great song. Music by Jack Owen. Out of the band, actually, I think, at this point. Oh, no, he's still in the band a little bit more, but not contributing as much on this one. I think he contributed less on this guy.
This is the previous record.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's a very good, probably my second or third favorite song on this record beside the opener.
Another spectacular song. Moving on into Disfigured, which is the only Corpsegrinder co-write, which
No, he
I
gets
apologize.
he gets a co-write on another one. Go ahead. Disfigured.
You're right. Which I'm surprised he had any co-writes on this record because it was finished. They were recording it and they brought him in. You know what?
Yeah.
It's just another straight up banger. And the riffs are better, the drums are better, the recording is better. Corpsegrinder is more of my taste in vocalist than Barnes was, especially from the last record to this one. Can't complain. No complaints.
He's just such a breath of fresh air vocally. And again, that's after we were just talking about gushing about Barnes for 4 albums, about how he literally lifted the genre on his shoulders, invented a vocal style that has been imitated and copied over and over again. And then George comes in and he just absolutely trumped what this guy did. I hate to say Trump now. It's a great song.
He straight up pinochled him. Moving on into Bloodlands, which is the other Corpsegrinder co-write. Glad to see him get a little published. Yeah, Fisher,
wrong.
Right there.
Nope.
Oh,
Next
I'm
one.
looking. I'm sorry.
Get glasses, Alice. Get glasses.
I can't wear my glasses when I'm this close.
I can't either because I get the.
I started
I
wearing
need
them
my
when I was
glasses
sitting
too.
in front of the records, but now that I'm in my sit down set, my big boy set, I don't do that anymore.
I see that.
So we are now on to Bloodlands. And honestly, this is where a lot of the songs don't necessarily have a strong push out by themselves. But this is one of the few times on any record we've done that I didn't know, like the back of my hand going in, like in our first 5 or 6 series, where I didn't turn it off once. I just, no breaks. No, it was just straight up thump. I did have to turn it down a little bit in the car at the end, but other than that,
I see. Continue.
Next we get into Puncture Wound Massacre, which is Fish. It's 90 seconds basically. Moving on. Relentless Beating.
Ouch. Come on now. I love this little track. Yeah, this is beautiful. I love this. Reminds me of Napalm Death. I love this little track.
It's about the length of. Moving on into Relentless Beating. Excuse me, 2 minutes 14. You take that one, you take the other one, mix them together, go straight up Kit Kat on it, and you got a good, what the hell? You got a good 4-minute death metal record. I'm just being sad.
Omar's over here doing the truffle shuffle. I threw my stress ball at him, and now I wish I had it back because I saw him.
If he's going to do the truffle shuffle, do it in the goddamn.
Jack Owen's last record was Wretched Spawn in 2004.
I don't know what that means.
Jack Owen's last record was
be in the podcast or don't be in the podcast. The Wretched Spawn is Jack Owen's last record. Whoopie doo.
Yes.
Thanks a bunch.
2004.
Yeah.
Not
all
really
right.
helpful.
Not
Absolute
at all.
Hatred. Banger. This is all the Barrett. I'm assuming we're not talking about Sid. I'm being silly.
No, Rob. This is a good track. I don't think this is kind of I don't want to say the soft underbelly, but if you have an instrumental on track 7 and then another couple of tracks, it's probably the soft underbelly, but a soft underbelly of a great record.
This is the hardest soft underbelly we've had.
For sure. That's a great terminology. This is a good one.
Moving on to Eaten from Inside. Again, we are just wrong.
Do you ever get the feeling that like Webster tracked this album and decided the order because like literally Barrett, Owen, like the songs that they wrote come late in the album on purpose almost?
No questions. Moving on to the worst title, although there are probably some people on the East Coast that are loving this.
This was a leftover for sure. I mean, like it's actually Paul's lyrics, but yeah, Orgasm Through Torture, right? Whoa.
That's a lot.
That's a whole lot to incorporate and take in 1996.
Even in 2023. Monolith is another, and it closes out the record. It is a Big Thunder. And with death metal, Big Thunder is where it's at. And it's just,
Did you Did you have the copy of this with or without the bonus track when you got it?
I did not listen to the bonus.
I first heard it with the bonus track, so not this go round. I'm talking originally. So like they did the Undead Will Feast, which is from Eaten Back to Life with George on vocals, just to show everybody, hey, this is when you come see us. This is what you're gonna get. I thought it was really clever and smart marketing in a way, advanced marketing. I feel like. Yeah, I know that people love, like, this is a great record, right? George is really like his mainstream debut, right? Because Monstrosity was really a regionally known underground band. They toured a bunch, they played metal festivals, but they were not nearly as big as the biggest bands in the genre. And so I feel like they chose right. They hit the lottery with the guy. They chose the right guy to come in and take over for Barnes. Not only no letdown, they amplified the band even more somehow, which I get. I'm sure when people found out Barnes was out of the band, they flipped. Oh, that's it. The band is over.
I can remember flipping when Cavalera was out of Sepultura.
Well, that was.
And I mean, really, if I'm being honest, are the vocals in Sepultura that critical? Like, who does them? We're not talking about Diamond Dave to Sammy here.
Yeah, but we're talking about, it does matter. I understand why people are on that.
I'm not saying it doesn't matter at all. What I'm saying is I heard that and I walked away.
I guess. I don't know why.
Did not give a chance, and that is inappropriate.
That's too bad. Well,
I said
you're not. A lot of people did.
And I know I'm not the only one. I said.
I don't have. I will tell you that this is the tamest album cover the band has had so far. We didn't talk about artwork.
The thing about
I like the maggots.
I will say this is my favorite record so far, and if I were going to rank them, I'm not going to rank them in order of historical importance, but I'm going to rank them as to how they hit my ears, and it's 5-1 backwards, because I feel every record was better than the one before it.
That's fine, but we don't do a 5 scale. We do a 10 scale.
No, I'm saying the 5th record is the best. So,
okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I think I would say that personally, it's tough, but I would say Tomb of the Mutilated, Butchers at Birth, Eaten Back to Life, File, and then The Bleeding for me. And if I had to grade those records in the order they came out, Eaten Back to Life is an 8 or a 9, just because. Or maybe a 9, a high 9, because, again, brand new, recreated a genre. Butchered at Birth, a high 8 or a 9. Tomb of the Mutilated, an absolute 9 or a 10. The Bleeding is an 8. Vile is a 8 or maybe a 9, depending on the soft underbelly.
Look, I think it rolls from 10 of 10, which is Vile.
Really?
To like 8.5.
You really think Vile is a 10 of 10?
Yes, Vile is my absolute favorite record.
Again, a 10 of 10 is a landmark record that cannot ever be challenged.
You're right. 9.5. There's the underbelly is a little softer.
And like, if you, I would say this: if you have a song on any, just in general, you and I do this. We go through the tracks. I feel nothing about this song. That means it's not a 10. I don't have a feeling either way about this other song. That's not a 10 record. A 10 is like every song is a 10.
I agree. I didn't say that on this record.
I know. Well, you kind of skipped over a couple, so yeah.
I skipped over a couple because the breeze through is because it's death metal.
The fights.
I love death metal. I have loved death metal for 35 years, but I can also tell you that no death metal record besides Carcass's Heartwork is abject perfection, and even that one isn't. You get a little bit of monotony. One of the great things about this run is Cannibal Corpse has really, really been so smart about album length. They have been between 34 and 37.
Without the bonus track, this album is Vile is 34 and a half minutes. That's just just brilliant. 9 tracks in 34 minutes.
Right. For death metal,
technical death metal, perfect.
That's where you should be. You should
no need to drag it out.
No, because you do get, as much as I love Corpsegrinder, as much as I love Chris Barnes, as much as I love all these people, They are not King Diamond. They are not James Hetfield. They are not the chorus of voices of Pink Floyd. These have typically one delivery. Barnes was able to bring in 2. I love Corpsegrinder, but he's never brought in a second delivery. He's got 1. It's 10. He is a garden hose after you've undone the kink the entire time, and which unfortunately can get a little tiresome. So
undone the kink, by the way, is the hashtag for this episode. Oh my God.
I am going to handicap this record for death metal. It is a 10 of 10 for death metal.
Fair enough.
It is a 9 of 5 for non-death metal or non.
I will accept that argument. Do we have any other thoughts on this record or the album or the series in general? Like, I think this was very valuable. We haven't really done a metal series in a while.
Not a serious metal series, that's for sure. We've never done extreme metal.
We really have yet to do a series together that was straight up. We should do more of these, I think.
I agree. And do you want to drop the next, or do you want to wait?
You can drop it like it's hot if you want to.
I would fucking love to. We are now going to drop a record that has oft referenced, often bona fide, absolutely loved, whose taint we would lick on a daily basis, because you know you would, Keefy. Don't even say like you wouldn't. We are going to start a Gwar series. Next week we have an interview. I'm going to leave the name out in case
they chaser.
We have we have an interview chaser next week. I'm going to leave the name of the interviewee out just in case they drop out.
Do we have a topic with that chaser, or just going to freeball it?
Let's freeball like Mega Ran. I thought that was our best artist. If we're going to do an artist chaser, I think
we shouldn't have a topic.
Yeah. We'll discuss their record. We'll discuss their business and see if I can convince them to let me go to their show for free. I'm not going to do that.
You could.
I won't. I'll pay the $5. It's fine. I'm going to buy a shirt anyway. So, but next week we have an interview chaser next week. And then we're going to start a series on Gwar, which Gwar is Gwar. I don't know how else to describe it. We will get into that in depth for probably at least 4 episodes, possibly up to 6. Because
we'll mix some things in between. I got some chaser ideas we haven't discussed yet. And
we have agreed that we're gonna throw in chasers during the long series, because I think that makes it better. Because if you hate the band we're doing for 4 weeks,
you get a break.
Let's give you a break, give you something to listen to. But Cannibal Corpse is one of the most important death metal bands. There is no way around that. And it is... Jesus, I'm sorry. We talked about the gassy. Now I'm gassy this week.
I think you drank the beer before letting it settle. You're supposed to. You should have sipped out of the can, not the glass, and that's what you gassed yourself.
I didn't do that. Oh, okay. Let's not use the phrase "you gassed" anyone. Jesus, I mean, I know it's a.
I've been browning the air around me all day today since I felt better, but
let's finish this up.
I think it's my turn. My camera died last week, so I think it's my turn to take us home.
And I just want to say, I want to finish my thought before I burped in my own mouth. Because who else's mouth would you burp in? Yeah, doing Cannibal Corpse was a wonderful series. It was a great time to look back into my youth, look back into some friendships I had with my best friend from 1985, Tom Ward. Remembering him telling me about Cannibal Corpse, telling me about Gwar, telling me about other albums like that, and just really thinking about where we were. One of the things I love about going back in time is where we were in America, where we were in the world, where Western culture was, and how these counterculture records flipped the script. That's what.
All right. That's what Nick thinks, everybody. If you have made it this far, you are an absolute legend and a gem of reality. I am going to take us home. This has been the Glacially Musical Podcast. thank you so much for spending this time with us as we ran down these horrific masterpieces from the bowels of hell with Cannibal Corpse. 5 records of Cannibal Corpse is quite a lot. If you are not a death metal fan and you actually still listen to these, amazing. You got a lot of high entertainment value, especially from Nick cringing at all the horrible song titles that is too sensitive for his delicate sensibilities, too extreme. But thank you for listening. Do us a favor, if you enjoyed what you heard, please finger fudge the like button. Give us a 5-star review on some of these podcast networks. Or if you dislike what you heard, give us some shit on social media or in the comments. We take it very seriously and strive to improve these episodes. You can find me everywhere at Ghost Cult Mag and at Ghost Cult Keefy. You can find Nick at NIK_NO_C on most social medias, as well as Glacially Musical on Instagram and other things like Facebook, if you still do such things. And as we say every week, this has been the Glacially Musical Podcast. It doesn't play in Peoria, but however, entrails have been ripped from a virgin's cunt there. And someone got fucked with a knife there also.
Friend of the show, Grave Hover. Peoria.